Am I better than everyone?
I'm obsessive and crazy.
Oh, hey, see you there. Don't break things. All artwork is on sale.
What I think your favorite Shakespeare play is based on your favorite Taylor Swift album. Woo! If you like her debut album, then you actually probably prefer the sonnets, and that's okay. Romeo and Juliet, Love Story is track 3. If you like Speak Now, then you actually probably really like A Midsummer Night's Dream because it's magical. Woo! If you like Red, then you also probably like Othello because poor Desdemona, but also I Knew You Were Trouble is just Iago vibes. Hello? This is Much Ado About Nothing. I will be taking no further questions. Thank you. Macbeth. I'm sorry. Hello? No further explanation required. If you like Lover, then you probably also really like As You Like It. I mean, the song The Man is on the album, but also it's just all about love. If you like folklore, then you probably like Hamlet because it's just poetic brilliance. And also, this whole album is Hamlet and Ophelia. I could cry about it for hours. Evermore is King Lear. It's tragic, it's beautiful, it's everything. What I think your favorite Shakespeare play is, based on your favorite Taylor Swift album, part 2, except this time it's really niche. If you like any of the Willow remixes, I think you probably like A Winter's Tale. The vibes are just kind of the same there. If you like the Clean Bandit version of You Need to Calm Down, you probably like 12th Night because chaos. If you liked her song from the Cats movie, you probably like The Tempest. If you like Sweeter Than Fiction, you probably like Antony and Cleopatra. The lyrics just kind of work, and it's a little bit heartbreaking. Richard III. If you liked Only the Young from the Miss Americana documentary, then you probably like Julius Caesar, politics. If you liked her Hunger Games songs, then you probably like Titus Andronicus. They're pretty bloody. The one we've all been waiting for, Taming of the Shrew. Hello, come on. Just, yeah.
Thou gettest ripped tonight, R.I.P. that. Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of our players do, I had as lief the tongue crier spoke my lines, nor do not saw the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently, for the very torrent, tempest, and as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a periwig painted fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for ordering termagant. It out Herod's Herod, pray you, avoid it. Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance that you are a step, not the modesty of nature, for everything so over.
What's my favorite movie? Well, that depends. Who's asking? The perfect answer for that hot film major smoking hand-rolled cigarettes at the cast party. The safe answer you tell that coworker you don't know very well. Seems like a safe answer until they start quizzing you like you're applying to work at the worst books a million in the world. The answer that gets you an "oh" response, like they didn't think that this was an option after the age of 7. I'm testing to see if we had similar childhoods. We definitely had similar childhoods. If you know this, I want you to know me. I've met your parents and it's going well. You ask me what I watch when I'm sad. You ask me what I watch when I'm sad, and you're my therapist. Wait, I changed my mind. Please don't look, I'm not ready to be vulnerable on the internet.
Good morrow, fair ones. I'm a theater major, and I decided that for my senior year, I wanted to read through Shakespeare's entire canon, but in the order of historical chronology of the settings. So I'm going to be giving you all of my honest responses, reviews, and reactions to all of the plays. This series is going to take a while because there are 39 of them. Well, like 37, 38, 39. There's discrepancies over the authorship on some. That's a discussion for another day, but it will happen. But we're doing all 39 of them. So bear with me. First up is going to be Troilus and Cressida, so keep an eye out for that one. And I will move out of the way so you can look at the order. I found this list online, so please don't come from my brand. Some of them are not unspecified. It says like right here, unspecified. So please don't come from my brand. I found the order online. Welcome back to Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings. Today we're going to be talking about the rating system. This is a spreadsheet that I made in order to help keep the ratings consistent throughout this process, and modifications will be made as necessary. The first criteria is overall impression, so this is pretty much just my first impression of the play. Language is pretty much just Shakespeare's overall use of verse and/or prose. Is their arc justified and interesting, and are we invested in their character? Are the characters complex, and do they have a character arc? My overall enjoyment of the play as a whole. Is the play underrated, overrated, or just right? Did I laugh at the appropriate times, cry at the appropriate times, did I feel anything emotionally from this play? And then total, there are 10 points for every category, which I will then be adding up to take the average to get the final score of the play. If you would like more information on this, you can find it on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Hey, it's your local Shakespeare nerd here. I have an announcement to make really fast because I really quickly learned that I simply have too much to say about these plays to keep it to a minute, so I'm starting a blog. It's called Lady M because my name is Mackenzie and I think I'm really funny, and you can find it at ladymshakespeare.com. I will put the link in my bio. It's mostly going to pair with my reading through the canon in the order of the historical chronology of the setting series that I'm doing, so there will be a post for every play eventually, but there's also going to be posts about anything and everything Shakespeare. There's already a lot of really fun stuff on the website, like a link to read through all of the plays for free, as well as links to my spreadsheets that have the order to read the plays in, as well as the link to my rating chart that I have that has all my criteria for how I'm rating the plays. There will be a video on that coming soon. I also have a recommendations page that has some of my favorite productions to watch, as well as my favorite Shakespeare-related books, so be sure to check that out. I am super excited to be unveiling this and to start making Shakespeare feel more accessible to our generation, so check it out. Reading through Shakespeare's canon in the order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 1, Troilus and Cressida. This play takes place during the Trojan War, so pretty much just think of the Iliad, but more dramatic. Troilus and Cressida is considered one of Shakespeare's problem plays, and it's really understandable why if you read it. The tone is kind of just all over the place, like it goes from 0 to 100 really, really fast. I enjoyed this play overall, I laughed a lot. I think Pandarus is a really funny character, and Cressida has a lot of potential as a character, but she just wasn't given the soliloquies that she deserved or the stage time that she needed. I'm a really big fan of Troilus as a character. I think his character arc is great. He kind of goes mad after he witnesses Cressida cheating on him, so I was really here for that. I'm gonna give this play 3 out of 5 stars. It was funny, but I think it's pretty average for a Shakespeare play. For a more in-depth analysis and discussion on this play, you can find it on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 2, King Lear. King Lear is about an aging king of Britain who is dividing his lands up between his 3 daughters, 2 of which his intentions are not very pure. This play is full of political intrigue, manipulation, and a lot of heartbreak. This is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I think that it is peak tragedy, and King Lear's character arc is absolutely devastating. I love the female characters in this play. I love them all for very different reasons. I think Goneril and Regan are awesome evil power figures, and I think Cordelia is one of Shakespeare's best tragic heroines. I do wish that 2 of them weren't in love with the same guy, but can you really blame them? He's kind of a bad boy. Speak of the devil, I love Edmund. I think he is such a great villain, so we stan. I'm giving this play 5 out of 5 stars, and if you want to read the rest of my thoughts on this play, you can find it on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 3, Coriolanus. Coriolanus is a hero of Rome, but he has a quick fall from grace as a result of his temper and arrogance. He's banished from the city and then aligns himself with the Volscians to burn Rome to the ground, and from there, it just becomes a bloody tragedy. As a concept, I love blood on stage, and this play has a lot of it. Coriolanus is different from Shakespeare's other tragic heroes because he doesn't have that same inner turmoil that we see in Macbeth, Hamlet, or King Lear. He's very rash, and we don't see a lot of those soliloquies where he talks about his feelings or his thought process, and so I think it makes for a really interesting story. This play is so underrated. I understand why it's not as popular. It's kind of confusing, but Volumina, his mother, is an incredible character. She single-handedly saves Rome, but she can't save her son, and the ending of this play is so tragic. I'm gonna give this play 5 out of 5 stars, and you can read my full review on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 4, Timon of Athens. Timon is a rich man with poor money management skills. He hosts lavish parties for his friends, but when he goes broke and asks them for help, they refuse. He throws a revenge dinner party and then he goes to live in the woods, and he finds a chest of gold and fails to make better monetary choices again. In the end, he dies because this is a tragedy. There's maybe 2 women in this show, and they're really irrelevant to the plot, so we're gonna give it a 1 for female characters. I think if this play is ever produced on stage, I think there has to be gender bending for this play to stay interesting and relevant. This is one of the problem plays. The tone is really all over the place, and you'll understand if you read it. And I also just think that this play doesn't really hold a candle up to the rest of the tragedies. I mean, I feel really bad for Timon, but at the same time, it's not Shakespeare's best. But, you know, bad for Shakespeare is good to anybody else's standards. I'm gonna give this play 2 out of 5 stars, and if you want to read the rest of my thoughts on this play, you can find it on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in Order of the Historical Chronology of the Settings, Part 5, Julius Caesar. So Julius Caesar is about the downfall of the historic figure Julius Caesar, who was stabbed to death a bunch of times in the Senate by a group of conspirators led by his friends, Brutus and Cassius. That all happens within the first half of the play. And then Mark Antony swears vengeance for Caesar's death, and everyone goes to war. Moral of the story, listen to your wife, because a lot of lives could have been saved if the men had just done that. Shout out to Portia and Calpurnia. I love Brutus and Cassius as individual characters, but I think that their dynamic and their relationship is really interesting in this play, and their deaths are highly, highly, highly effective. It's an excellent example of a tragedy. Also, Cassius is 100% in love with Brutus. I will not be taking questions at this time, thank you. I love this play so much if you can't tell. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 stars, and my full review of this play is on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Welcome back to Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in Order of the Historical Chronology of the Settings, Part 6, Antony and Cleopatra. Really quick, I added a new category called Fitzgenre. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I talk about it more on my blog. I think the best way to describe this play is a more mature Romeo and Juliet mixed with Julius Caesar. This is the first time that reading them in the order of the historical chronology actually makes a difference, because Antony is Mark Antony from Julius Caesar, and this play follows his love affair with the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra, and Octavius Caesar is in it, and they go to war, and it's a tragedy, and everybody dies. Cleopatra is simply an incredible character. She is so passionate, beautiful, intelligent, powerful, everything you could want from her. This play gives us a really interesting dichotomy between Egypt and Rome and how they perceive each other and perceive themselves, and then we have Mark Antony in the middle whose heart lies with Egypt, but his identity and his head lie with Rome, and that makes for a really interesting character arc. I'm gonna give this play 4 out of 5 stars, and if you want to read my full thoughts on this play, they're on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Welcome back to Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in Order of the Historical Chronology of the Settings, Part 7, Cymbeline. There's a lot going on in this play, but the main thing to note is that it's going to be Britain versus Rome. So the King of Britain, Cymbeline, his daughter Imogen, has secretly married a low-born boy named Posthumus, who then gets banished to Rome and makes a deal concerning Imogen's chastity. Kind of problematic. Whatever. This play also features murder, war, long-lost siblings and children, cross-dressing evil queens, poison, and magic. I don't know what more we could ask for. This play is also considered to be a romance, and so it's very different tonally and content-wise from a lot of his other plays, but it's so characteristically Shakespeare that I really, really appreciated how unique it was, and I enjoyed this play. It also has some of his best poetry. I'll stand by that. Imogen is such an underrated heroine. She's really the only character in this play that we ever get to know or care about, but that's okay because she's such a well-developed and well-written character. Like, I'm kind of obsessed with her. Again, I was pleasantly surprised by this play, and I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars, and the rest of my thoughts are in my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in Order of the Historical Chronology of the Settings, Part 8, Titus Andronicus. Also, please consider this your formal and all-encompassing content and trigger warning. This play is averaging about 5.2 atrocities committed per act, or about every 97 lines, including cannibalism, so that's a lot. There's a lot of blood on stage, and you know I love blood on stage, so let's get into it. Literally 3 people survive this play. So pretty much every single character in this play is seeking revenge in some way, shape, or form, but we mainly have Titus Andronicus, who is seeking revenge against Tamora, the Queen of the Goths, for destroying his entire family, and he does so by killing her sons and baking them into a pie, which then she eats. It's a pretty epic final scene, I'll be honest. This play was really popular back in the Elizabethan age. I mean, the Elizabethans loved gore and violence on stage, but it's not as popular now, and that makes sense if you read it. It's a really hard play to read. It's gut-wrenching and sickening. I wouldn't recommend it to a lot of people. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this play. I don't know what that says about me, but whatever. And you can read the rest of my thoughts on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and Reading Shakespeare's Canon in Order of the Historical Chronology of the Settings, Part 9, Hamlet! I'm just gonna begin by saying that I did in fact give this play a perfect score. That shouldn't be a surprise. I love this play so much. It's my favorite play ever, and I honestly think that it's one of the best plays ever written, and I think that it has withstood the test of time like none other. It's so good. If you haven't read it, what are you doing with your life? So this play follows Hamlet, the young prince of Denmark, who is seeking revenge for his late father the king's death. Spoiler alert, it was Claudius, Hamlet's uncle, who marries Hamlet's mom. There's some incest going on there. I think that this is Shakespeare's best exploration of mental health, mortality, grief, and there's a lot of really good existential thought in this play. I think that Hamlet's character arc is so brilliantly written. Ophelia's emotional depth is practically unparalleled, and Horatio is such a well-written, well-rounded character. You should read this play. I cannot begin to sum up this play in a minute. My full thoughts are on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and rating Shakespeare's canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 10, Macbeth. So this play follows Macbeth, who runs into three witches who tell him that he is going to become king of Scotland one day, and then his manipulative wife, Lady Macbeth, convinces him to murder the current king, Duncan, so that he can become king. She is the original gaslight geeky girl boss, and then they spend the rest of the play defending their title and killing a bunch of people, and people go mad, there's some bad weather, there's witches and magic and prophecies, and a lot of blood on stage, and some sword fighting. What more could we ask for, literally? Also, the three witches are the original, three Mean Girls. That's where we get this trope from, so we really honestly have Shakespeare to thank for Mean Girls and Heathers. So, honestly, shout out to him. I really think that the poetry in this play honestly rivals Hamlet. I think that Macbeth's final soliloquy is some of Shakespeare's greatest writing. It's the tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech. I really love that piece. I am gonna give this play 5 out of 5 stars, and you can read the rest of my thoughts on my blog at ladymshakespeare.com. Reading and rating Shakespeare's canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 11, King John. Alrighty, we have our first history play. So these plays are not considered tragedies, even though they are pretty tragic, generally speaking, but they're considered histories because they focus on more or less the true stories of English kings and the English monarchy. That is criteria number 1. So King John is generally associated with the Magna Carta, but he is not a good person. He's the villain in his own story, so if you like Richard III, you'll probably like this play, even though Richard III is a better play. He's a much more compelling character than John is. Anyways, one of the most interesting and unique things about this play is that there are 2 protagonists. The first half of it focuses on King John, but the second half of it focuses on the bastard of maybe Richard the Lionhearted, they don't really know, and I think that makes for a really interesting storytelling dynamic. I am gonna give this play 4 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it. Reading and rating Shakespeare's canon in order of the historical chronology of the settings, Part 12, Romeo and Juliet. Banishment, be merciful, say death. We have finally made it to the long-awaited star-crossed lovers tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, and let me just say, I appreciated this play so much more as a college senior studying theater than I did when I was 14 and read it in middle school. That's also how old Juliet is, so that's a little bizarre. Anyways, I really don't think that this play deserves the hate that it gets. I think that it is so beautifully written and well done. I think that Juliet is a better written character than Romeo. Romeo's a simp, and Juliet is honestly the first heroine that Shakespeare writes, chronologically speaking, that is a fully developed, emotionally complex character. Also, the first half of this play is really funny, and it doesn't follow traditional tragic structure, and it was also written as a satire and a commentary on Christopher Marlowe's Dido, Queen of Carthage, so take from that what you will. 5 out of 5 stars. Read my blog.